Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really wild ride in the tech world. We're talking about the Trump Mobile T1 phone. Over the last year, this device has gone from a massively hyped product launch to an absolute lightning rod for consumer frustration, shifting promises, and, quite frankly, some really serious cybersecurity concerns. We are going to dig right into exactly why this launch has triggered such intense pushback from tech reviewers, lawmakers, and even its own buyers. Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with the T1 phone announcement, move on to the shifting promises and specs, discuss the endless delays and policy changes, dive into the data exposure leak, and finally look at the lawmaker and consumer scrutiny this whole thing has drawn. Section 1, the T1 phone announcement. Okay, let's rewind a bit to June 2025, when this whole telecom venture kicked off. So the initial pitch was huge. Announced by Don Jr. and Eric Trump, the flagship product was the T1. It was a flashy, gold-colored smartphone with an American flag right on the back. For early adopters willing to put down a $100 deposit, it carried a $499 promotional price tag. They targeted an August 2025 delivery date, and the biggest selling point by far was the heavy marketing claiming it was, quote, made right here in the USA. It was pitched as this bold declaration of wireless independence. Section 2, shifting promises and specs. But, well, the harsh reality of building smartphones kind of hit them fast. Literally just days after that glamorous launch, that explicit made right here in the USA promise, it just quietly vanished from their website. And what replaced it? This much vaguer phrase, American Proud Design. Designed with American values in mind. And the reason for this pivot is pretty simple. Tech experts immediately pointed out that building an affordable, mass-market smartphone entirely inside the United States is practically impossible with today's global supply chains. And when reviewers actually got a look at the T1's design and specs, they realized this thing looked awfully familiar. Early images showed it was basically a rebranded WingTech Revel 7 Pro 5G, which is a budget phone made in China. Later prototypes looked nearly identical to an HTC U24 Pro, a 2-year-old mid-range phone from Taiwan. So instead of getting some groundbreaking American innovation, buyers were essentially pre-ordering older foreign hardware that had been marked up to $499. Section 3, delays and policy changes. So as the truth about the hardware came out, the delivery schedule and the legal fine print started to change too. Look, if you put down a $100 deposit, you expect a phone, right? But those early buyers just watched their delivery dates completely evaporate. August 2025 came and went. Then it was pushed to October, then December, and get this, customer service blamed a 43-day government shutdown for the delay, which tech analysts found totally bizarre for consumer electronics manufacturing. Finally, in May 2026, after almost a year of crickets, the company suddenly announced phones were starting to ship this week. But that good news came with a really sneaky catch. Just a month prior, in April 2026, they quietly updated their terms and conditions. The new fine print explicitly said that a deposit is not a purchase. It doesn't lock in your $499 price, and, wild enough, it doesn't even guarantee that a device will ever be produced at all. It downgraded a pre-order into just a conditional opportunity. As you can imagine, this sudden bait and switch triggered a massive outcry online from frustrated buyers. Section 4, the data exposure leak. Now, while customers were sitting in the dark waiting for their devices, an even bigger problem emerged in May 2026. Security researchers discovered a massive exploitable software flaw right on the Trump Mobile pre-order website. This bug essentially allowed outsiders to just scrape and search the entire pre-order database. Now, interestingly, the leak proved there were only about 10,000 unique customers in the system, which is way, way fewer than the 600,000 orders some media outlets were reporting. But for those 10,000 real people, this was a massive violation. And this is exactly why we constantly warn people about the risks of sharing personal information with unproven startups. This vulnerability exposed the full names, physical home addresses, and email addresses of those buyers. Anyone could scrape it. Now, thankfully, credit card data wasn't compromised, but cybersecurity experts still flagged this as a monumental privacy failure. Section 5, lawmaker and consumer scrutiny. Between the shifting specs, the endless delays, the rewritten legal terms, and now a data leak, the government inevitably had to step in. By January 2026, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Chris Van Hollen sent a formal letter straight to the Federal Trade Commission, urging them to open an official investigation into what they called potentially deceptive consumer practices by Trump Mobile.
The lawmakers really didn't pull any punches here. They explicitly called out how utterly impossible those initial Made in USA claims were. They highlighted the bait-and-switch tactics, specifically collecting millions in $100 deposits for a product that literally didn't exist yet, all while hiding behind vaguely rewritten terms and conditions so they wouldn't have to issue automatic refunds.
And the pressure just kept mounting. After the data leak broke and the company suddenly claimed phones were shipping, U.S. Senator Mark Warner sent his own letter to the CEO. He wrote, quote, "The cavalier manner in which Trump Mobile has treated its customers is shocking." He demanded that the buyer contracts be honored in full, totally free of these deceptive practices. So where does this leave us? We're looking at a deeply troubled product launch. You've got rebranded foreign hardware, evaporated Made in USA claims, completely rewritten legal terms, and severe data leaks. It really makes you wonder, will those early adopters ever actually get the premium device they were promised? Or is the T1 ultimately just a massive cautionary tale about the absolute risks of handing over your money and your personal data based on brand type instead of a proven track record? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.